Hello everyone. The day we were all waiting for eagerly has arrived, and the story of the tower farmer Park Sejun is about to resume from where it left off. Before we start season 2 of the story, let's do a quick recap of the first season. The story is about a world where black towers suddenly appeared all over the earth one day, and the people who got sucked into them returned as swordsmen and magicians after passing the various challenges of the tower. Becoming a hunter in the tower became the most lucrative job instantly because of the treasures found there. And Park Sejun, a young cashier, dreamt of buying a golden ticket to enter the tower and become a famous hunter too. His wish got granted abruptly one day as he was sucked into the tower by accident, and he landed on the 99th floor of the tower without even knowing where he was. He had only some groceries on hand, so he ate some and planted the rest, hoping they would grow up in time before he starved to death. And thankfully, the energy of a special event of the tower called the Blue Moon helped the crops grow quickly. Soon, he had new guests in his life in the form of a pair of white farmer rabbits who became his tenants and friends. Together with the rabbit couple, Sejun expanded his farm, and when the rabbits had their first batch of children, he became their uncle. All the kids in the litter were white farmer rabbits except one, who became a black warrior rabbit. Then came a big challenge in Sejun's life, which was the tower manager, a black dragon named Aileen Fritani, who felt that Sejun being in the tower was a mistake and that she should eliminate him to cover up her tracks. Luckily, she arrived at a better way to coexist and officially awakened Sejun as the tower farmer and gave him various quests that mainly involved giving her cherry tomatoes and other crops. Soon after that, Sejun met an orange cat merchant named Theo who had been scammed by a goblin and wasted his money on faulty items to sell to him. Sejun trapped the poor cat in a debt trap and made him work as his sales cat, who went and sold his special crop, the magic cherry tomato, to hunters. The magic cherry tomato's special effect of dissolving body fat made it a luxury item on Earth, and soon, Sejun started earning lots of cash thanks to Theo. Sejun also befriended a poisonous honeybee who soon evolved into a queen and became part of his farm crew. As Sejun's story continued, his relationship with the tower manager, Aileen, improved after a few standoffs between them, and she started looking out for him. She warned him when a crimson giant bear cub ventured into his cave, and Sejun learned to listen to her after the bear cub ate half of his stored food in one night. Luckily, he managed to send the bear cub to its mom, who returned soon and offered to patrol the area around Sejun's cave if he agreed to feed her child. Sejun gladly took up this offer and soon named the bear cub Quang and made him a part of his family. Sejun continued to evolve as a tower farmer and learned new skills by leveling up and fulfilling quests given by Aileen. Eventually, he got the ability to understand the language of the monsters of the tower, and finally got to communicate with his rabbit friends. After some time, Theo became a celebrity for humans who came to him not only for his crops but also to click cute pictures with him. He started buying random junk for Sejun that somehow turned out to be incredibly valuable items, and after buying a straw hat that was stolen from the house of the richest landlord of the tower named Greed, he ran into trouble with some nasty people. Greed sent a bunch of silver wolf mercenaries to catch Theo and find the straw hat, but luckily, a fox agent named Zerath, whom Theo had met earlier, helped him out of the tricky situation. Around the same time, one of the minotaurs living on the 99th floor reached Sejun's farm and destroyed the farm he had set up outside the cave. The Minotaur King sent the same Minotaur, named Ox 3, to find the food source that could save the Minotaurs from extinction, but Ox 3 ran into Theo, who had become a pro merchant by then. He took Ox 3 to Sejun, and on learning that he stole valuable grass, the Minotaur was forced to work for Sejun, but he was happy about it since the payment was food. He even brought his girlfriend along after she figured out his secret, and instead of making them plow the fields, Sejun sent them as Theo's bodyguards to the 38th floor, where the humans met him. While Theo learned from a veteran hunter, Kim Dongshik, that Sejun's family was in trouble because a lot of greedy people wanted to monopolize the magic cherry tomatoes, Sejun was busy expanding the roster of the crops he could farm. On the way back, the Minotaurs caught the silver wolves, and Theo decided to take them to Sejun so that he could decide their punishment. Sejun learned that the Silver Wolves were facing a drought, and their leader, Elka, had no choice but to become a mercenary for the landlord, Greed. With Aileen's permission, he started acting as the Black Dragon whom all the monsters in the tower respect and employed the Silver Wolves to work for him. He made the Silver Wolves Theo's bodyguards so that the Minotaurs could focus on expanding the farm, and soon the Minotaur king got impatient enough to leave his throne to investigate the missing couple. He lost his cool when he saw a mountain of cut green onion and took it back to his people, and Sejun found the perfect chance to make the strongest monster on the 99th floor indebted to him. He went to the Minotaur base with Ox 3 and Cow 4, and there he confronted the Minotaur king about stealing crops for him. In a bid to protect his honor, the Minotaur king decided to pay him whatever he wanted, but all Sejun wanted was some workforce that could plow his fields and expand them. With that, Sejun began working with the Minotaurs, and around the same time, Elka and his team rescued some gray rabbits that had run away from the 55th floor, which was being ruled by Greed. They brought the rabbits to Sejun, who learned about their tragic story. Their kingdom was destroyed by red locusts, and Greed took control of it just as the situation cleared a bit, turning the rabbits into slave workers. Sejun offered them to stay with him, and the gray rabbits began using their talents to help him. Around the same time, Aileen fell in love with Sejun and became completely dependent on him. She even fought against her doting grandfather, who began lashing out at Sejun as soon as he managed to get in touch with her through a dragon statue. With the elderly dragon Kaiser Fritani guiding Aileen and Sejun about the tower, they progressed even faster, and Sejun was appointed as the middle manager of the tower to cover for Aileen because she was unwell and lacking in experience and skill. Meanwhile, the red locusts appeared on the 67th floor, and the leader of the magic tower, Iona, led the fight against them. She met with Theo on one of his sales trips, and though it was not the most pleasant first meeting, she began to respect and like him as time passed. Theo took her to Sejun, who had just discovered a new crop called Tough Blade Green Onion that proved vital in defeating the red locusts. After that, Theo's rival in love, Oren, became a wandering merchant but got scammed by the same goblin named Scarum and insulted Theo when he tried to help him. Theo conspired with Sejun to turn him into a subordinate too, and when Oren decided to get free from the contract at all costs, he and his father ended up sinking even deeper in Sejun's debt. Around the same time, Sejun was sent to the 75th floor to protect Blue Carp from going extinct because of frog monsters, and he reunited with Theo and others on the mission. They solved the case of the frogs, and the Black Rabbit met Princess Pew Pew and immediately fell in love with her right before he was teleported back to the 99th floor. Things soon turned tricky when Greed's men decided to feed the locusts to destroy the 67th floor so that they could take over it. The locusts evolved into purple locusts that were stronger and highly poisonous, and the tide turned against the lizardmen and other warriors on the 67th floor. Around the same time, Scarum and a gold digger cat named Meryl kidnapped Iona and Pew Pew, but Theo and his friends rescued them while also gathering proof about the wrongdoings of the boar merchant Greed. They took Scarum and Meryl to Sejun, and when Kaiser felt the energy of the white dragon coming from Scarum, he obliterated him instantly. Sejun found the key to a dimensional prison from him and found a golden bat there who had been completely brainwashed by the goblin. He adopted the bat, and everyone enjoyed a few moments of peace, but then Iona went to renovate the dimensional prison while Sejun got sent to the 67th floor to protect the jewel frogs of the Navia swamp. He took Theo, Queng, the Black Rabbit, and Pew Pew as his guards, and they landed right in the middle of a horde of purple locusts. After sending Sejun to the 67th floor to face the purple locusts, Aileen gets really worried. She starts pacing around her room while hunching down and thinking hard about her decisions, and in the end, she realizes that she cannot think positively no matter how hard she tries. She feels that sending Sejun to the 67th floor as the mid-manager was a mistake because the challenges he will face there are way beyond what he can handle. She starts sweating and fidgeting her fingers as she wonders how long a tower farmer can hang out in the dangerous territory, but she doesn't get any answer. In her desperation, she turns to the glowing crystal ball and decides to unblock her grandfather Kaiser, whom she had blocked because he tried to threaten Sejun. As soon as Aileen unblocks Kaiser, he begins shouting that he is sorry and promises that he won't be angry again. He requests Aileen not to block him again with tears in his eyes, but Aileen tells him that they have got more serious issues to worry about now. She tells Kaiser that Sejun went to the 67th floor as the mid-manager to deal with the locusts, and she wants just a hint of assurance that he will be all right. Aileen blames her weakness, saying that even though she is the tower manager, she is not strong or knowledgeable enough to help Sejun. Kaiser watches over his worried granddaughter and then tells her not to worry too much because things are going to work out just fine. Aileen asks, how can she not worry when Sejun is in danger, and Kaiser reminds her that Sejun entered the Black Tower on his own. He survived the harsh environment of the 99th floor with practically nothing but his resourcefulness. Over the course of his stay, he met different types of creatures and turned them into his friends and subordinates, and that includes powerful monsters like the Crimson Bears and the Minotaurs. Kaiser says that he has never seen anyone grow so quickly in the history of the tower, and that really means something considering he was there from the beginning of the tower. Finally, he reminds Aileen that Sejun is the representative of the Black Dragon chosen by her, and that means he will be just fine. At the same time, Sejun is fighting for his life on the 67th floor. He is constantly munching on the detoxifying green onions alongside his friends, who are using their full power to fight against the vicious purple locusts. While Theo slashes them with his sharp claws, Quang uses his huge stick to take down multiple locusts at the same time. Pew Pew uses her magic to fight, and the Black Warrior Rabbit covers her back with his hammer. Sejun is also taking down the purple locusts swiftly with his axe and dagger, and he looks really confident that he will succeed in his mission. Mid-fight, Theo suddenly becomes hungry for recognition and asks Sejun what they would have done if he hadn't packed extra detoxifying green onions in his bundle. Well, Sejun acknowledges that he made the right decision, because without the detoxifying green onion, they would not have lasted even a few minutes against the poisonous purple locusts. Just then, Pyupiu tells them that the red locusts have turned into purple locusts, which means that the locust population on the 67th floor has increased even more. She uses water magic to take down multiple locusts at once, and Sejun gets a system notification that his guardian Pew Pew has defeated a purple locust, and he will get half of the experience she gets from doing that. He gets another notification almost immediately, and this time he gets half of the EXP that Theo is getting from eliminating a locust. Sejun thinks that this is an incredible chance to level up because he can receive 50% of the EXP of his guardians, and there is no shortage of enemies to defeat. He yeets his axe ahead, killing all the locusts in his way, but the problem arises when another locust attacks him from his blind spot. Theo, who is holding a purple locust in his hand like he is dancing with it, notices this and alerts everyone that Sejun is in danger. However, Sejun confidently replies that he is fine because he has not come here unprepared. A small whitish-blue flame appears on his shoulder, and as Sejun pumps his muscles, the flame expands in all directions, blowing away the locusts who were trying to attack him. Everyone is dumbfounded on seeing this, but Sejun takes this chance to do some aura farming. As his throwing hatchet returns back to his hand, he coldly remarks that before they came here, the apple tree flame used her skill, Flame of Protection, on him, which means for the next 3 hours he is safe from any danger. Sejun declares that he is not the weak link of the group anymore, and Quang is excited to hear that his human dad is also a reliable fighter now. Even Pew Pew is impressed, and she wishes that Sejun should have been in the Red Ribbon Kingdom in the past, because then they would not have fallen to the red locusts. On that note, Sejun looks around and finds that their fight is not going to be easy because thousands of purple locusts surround them. Theo feels the same, and he says that they are already exhausted, and at this rate, they will run out of the detoxifying green onions before they can defeat all the locusts. Black Rabbit agrees with him, and Sejun notices that even Quang is getting tired. He realizes that they need more help and thinks that if only they had the Minotaurs around at a time like this, things would be better. However, he quickly realizes that even Minotaurs won't be able to do much in this situation, and he needs to call the big guns, and by that, he means Iona. Well, Seijun suddenly gets a eureka moment and realizes that he can actually call Iona to him right away. He summons the key to the dimensional prison and then summons it right in front of him. He then hurriedly knocks on the door, calling Iona outside. Iona opens the door a little bit and tells Seijun to wait a bit more because she is almost done with the renovation of the dimensional prison. However, she starts coughing mid-sentence because the air of the swamp is poisonous because of the presence of the purple locusts. Seijun tells her that he needs her help, but Iona has already spotted the purple locusts who are trying to attack them. She immediately enters business mode and charges up powerful purple lightning in her staff. Iona then releases a high-level attack spell called Giga Lightning that hits all the locusts at once, and they explode like New Year's fireworks in the sky. Everyone watches the locusts being obliterated with awe in their eyes, and Seijun tells Iona that she did an amazing job. However, despite Iona's wide-range attack, only about 50,000 locusts have been defeated, and Seijun learns about this as the interface for his mid-manager quest updates. The updated system window tells him that there are still 700 million locusts on the 67th floor that need to be defeated, and his reward for completing his quest will be 3 million EXP and 50,000 tower coins. On the other hand, he cannot return to his original location as long as the quest is incomplete, and that is a big shock for Seijun. He counts the zeros in the number one by one to realize that he still has to defeat over 500 million locusts. And at the same time, Kueng returns to his small size. Iona tells Seijun that he shouldn't worry too much because things will get better the more they fight. She explains that once they reduce the number of the purple locusts sufficiently, they will return to being red locusts that are quite weaker. Iona suddenly starts coughing and collapses because of the toxic air, and Theo rushes to catch her. He immediately brings out a detoxifying green onion for her, telling her to eat it to get immunity against the poison of the locusts. As Iona weakly calls out his name, Theo tells her that her magic is really amazing, and he is glad that they are on the same side. Theo appears glowing and shimmering to Iona as she blushes while munching on the green onion that is a bit too big for her. Meanwhile, the black rabbit uses his sharp senses and tells everyone that he can't feel the presence of any locusts around their location anymore. Seijun is glad to hear that, and he decides that they should take a break in the refurbished dimension storage. As soon as they open the door to the dimensional storage, Kueng, Piu, and Black Rabbit are awestruck, and even Seijun can't stop gasping at how different the place looks now. Iona has transformed the damp and dark prison into a comfy living room with furniture and a fireplace. She proudly tells Seijun that this much was just a simple task for her, and he suddenly realizes that he can use the dimensional storage really effectively. Just like he summoned Iona using the storage room right now, he can summon his comrades any time without having to assign them as his subordinates. While he is thinking this, Seijun notices the Black Rabbit forgetting all about the tense situation they are in and acting like a Pookie in front of the princess, while Theo and Iona are busy chatting as well. In between all this, Kueng is eating something, and when Seijun asks him about it, the bear cub excitedly tells him that the purple locusts hit by Iona's lightning are delicious. Well, they may be delicious, but their smell is so terrible that Seijun and Theo don't even want to go near it. Theo says that they shouldn't eat something like this, but then Seijun gets an idea. He recalls that red locusts taste like chicken, so probably the purple ones won't taste much different either. He immediately calls out to Iona, asking her if she can modify the fireplace a little bit. Well, a little modification is child's play for the archmage of the tower, and soon a delicious smell fills the dimensional storage. Everyone is excited by it, and Kueng is drooling as he sees the red locusts dripping juices while hanging on a rotisserie over the fireplace. The tower system also recognizes this as a new dish and tells Seijun that he has completed the achievement of being the first person in the tower to cook roasted purple locust. The dish gets registered in the cookbook, and the proficiency of Seijun's cooking skill increases significantly. He then reads the information window of the dish and finds that by stuffing the purple locusts with detoxifying green onion, the locust meat is cooked perfectly. It is tender and savory, and the poison of the purple locust has also been detoxified. The special effect that can be obtained after eating the roasted purple locust is low-level poison resistance, and it is a C+ grade dish with a shelf life of 15 days. Sejun is really happy to read the description of the dish, and he picks up one whole roasted locust, asking his friends to try it. However, no one except Kwang is up for the task of trying something new. Theo is even intimidated by the idea of roasting a purple locust whole despite its good smell, and on seeing him hesitate, Kwang rises to the occasion and snatches the roasted locust from Sejun's hand. Sejun tells him to be careful, because there was a reason he was holding the locust with a skewer and not his bare hands. Kwang realizes this soon enough, and the hot meat forces him to learn juggling on the spot. Well, after the locust cools down a bit, Kwang blows on it and then bites it through its shell. He tears away the juicy meat with his powerful jaws and begins devouring the delicious dish happily. On seeing Kwang eat with such enthusiasm, everyone else starts drooling as well, and Iona suggests that they should have a taste as well. Sejun tells them not to hesitate because he has a lot of locusts getting roasted over the fire. He hands out the skewers to everyone and tells them to eat them slowly. The black rabbit starts simping again and offers his locust to Piu Piu, while Iona wonders where to start eating the insect that is bigger than her. Sejun also decides to taste his cooking, and just as he takes a bite, he hears his friends crying in joy at the marvelous taste of the roasted purple locust. However, the smell attracts some unwanted guests, and they stand outside the door of the dimensional storage with 3 glowing crystals on their foreheads. They stare at the door menacingly and declare that whatever the people inside are doing is unforgivable. Soon after that, Sejun and his friends fall asleep inside the dimensional storage. Sejun lies on a hammock while the black rabbit uses Kwang as his mattress, and Piu Piu is sleeping on a nearby bed. Iona is also sleeping peacefully in a basket, but only Theo is awake, and he decides to use his time to go outside and get some fresh air, although I doubt swamp air can be that fresh. As Theo steps out of the door and complains that he ate too much and now he can't sleep at all because of the bloating, he doesn't notice a shadowy figure right behind him. He wonders if he should go out on a walk, when suddenly, the mysterious creature behind him slowly and silently brings a cloth bag towards his head, and then without a single sound, he traps Theo's head in it. Theo lets out a cry of surprise as he tries to process what is happening with him, but he doesn't get the chance to say much as the attacker, who is now clearly visible, puts his head into water. The small green frog with a crystal on its forehead shoves Theo's head into water, cursing him and accusing him of releasing the red locusts into the Navia swamps. He tells Theo that countless of his comrades died because of the people who released those ferocious bugs into the swamps. Theo just gets a moment to come out of the water to take a breath and asks the masked attacker what he is even talking about. The attacker doesn't hear him out and says that he is just the first target. And after dealing with him, he plans to do away with other culprits who let out the bugs into their swamps. Theo struggles as the attacker tries to shove him underwater again. He loudly yells at him to wait, and then introduces himself as a mid-level wandering merchant of the tower, because monsters are not supposed to harm wandering merchants. The attacker doesn't believe that Theo can be a wandering merchant, because no merchant can come this deep in the danger zone. But his friends tell him to slow down a bit because they can see the badge of a mid-level wandering merchant around Theo's neck. On realizing that the badge is real, the attacker gets away from Theo for a moment, who is shivering and still gasping for breath. The frog who spotted the badge begins to wonder what a wandering merchant is doing all this way in their swamp, which is too far away for anyone to make a realistic profit, while the third frog thinks that his badge may be fake or stolen from another merchant. Theo yells that it is all a misunderstanding because he and his friends did not release the locusts on the 67th floor. Instead, they came here to eliminate the purple locusts and save the jewel frogs of the Navia swamp. He then declares that he is a subordinate of the tower manager, the Great Black Dragon, and asks the attackers to let him go. Well, as fate would have it, the attackers are none other than the jewel frogs that Sejun and others are here to save. They grow nervous on hearing Theo's statement, even though they don't fully trust him yet. The drenched Theo tells them to knock on the door if they don't trust him, because the black dragon, by which he obviously means Sejun, is sleeping on the other side of the door. Well, the jewel frogs immediately imagine a scary dragon lashing out at them for daring to disturb his sleep, and also for messing with his subordinate. Their eyes pop out in anticipation of the horror, and they start thinking seriously about what their next step should be. All of them begin thinking out loud about what they should do next, and even Theo joins them in the brainstorming session. After a bit of thinking, one of the jewel frogs comes up with an idea, and he tells his friends that they should take Theo as a captive to their leader, Garen. Theo is curious about the guy named Garen, but he has other things to worry about first, as the frogs tie his hands and feet to a stick and carry him with it like they just hunted him, and he is their dinner. Theo starts crying as he is carried away like that, and he asks Sejun to save him, but he is too far for his voice to reach Sejun. Also, Sejun is in deep sleep, and he just scratches his ears and turns his back even as he hears the faintest sounds coming from outside the storage room. Meanwhile, Theo regains some of his confidence and arrogance after getting dry, and he tells the jewel frogs that he is a mid-level wandering merchant and they can't treat him like this. He orders them to put him down, and the frogs obey, though not in a way that Theo would find pleasant. They just toss him to the side while he is still tied to the stick and the cloth bag is still tied around his head. Theo screams on hitting the muddy ground, but then the jewel frogs decide to untie him. Once he is free, they apologize for treating him so roughly, but explain that they had their reasons to do so. They claim that they lost a lot of comrades to the locusts recently, which is why they need to be extra careful about who they bring to their base. This is the first time that Theo is seeing the jewel frogs, and they sit down in front of him, acting cute and innocent like they were not about to waterboard him and then kill all his friends. Theo gets furious at them and yells that he and his friends came here to save them, and the jewel frogs treated him so badly. He begins lecturing them about how hard it was to fight the purple locusts, and the jewel frogs listen silently, but then suddenly a threatening voice comes out of the pond behind him. Theo is curious about it and turns around to see who is speaking, but all he sees are some bubbles coming out of the water that confuse him even more. Suddenly the bubbles become more intense, and someone protrudes out of the water, asking who dares to disturb him. Theo is terrified as he sees a gigantic water pillar rise above the surface of the swamp, indicating the size of the frog talking to him. The other three jewel frogs bow down as the frog introduces himself as the king of jewel frogs, and Theo is thoroughly intimidated as he sees the frog king rise above the surface of the water. The frog king Garen asks who dares harm him and his people, and with that, he creates a huge splash that blows Theo away. The orange cat is knocked out like a Pokemon who has just lost a fight, but the jewel frogs are chill about it. They explain to their king, Garen, that they found the cat in the area of the swamp where the poison density was the highest. Garen also doesn't waste any time in accusing Theo of sending the locusts to the swamps. Theo somehow gets back up after using all his strength. He says that he is hurt and scared and can't put any strength into his body, and after this he says psych because he was just trying to trick the readers. He says that those are the things the Theo of the past would have said. But now he has the confidence to overcome every challenge in his way. He gets up on his feet, saying that he is the one who will become a great wandering merchant one day, and he won't fall to such small challenges. The frogs are confused by the sudden change in his attitude, and then Theo introduces himself as the future great wandering merchant, the golden cat Theo. He asks the Frog King how dare his people kidnap and threaten him. He declares that he will surely make them pay the price for their insolence, but unfortunately, his attitude is not going to work on the angry Frog King, who decides to squish him instantly. Theo also forgets all the cool things he said just now, and trembles in fear, asking someone to save him. Luckily, the Jewel Frogs come to his rescue and ask Garen to stop. He tells him that Theo claims to be the subordinate of the Great Black Dragon, and if he is speaking the truth, harming him could cause even bigger problems than the ones they are facing right now. They also add that Theo was claiming that he and his friends fought against the purple locusts that are so strong that the jewel frogs were helpless against them. The frog gets really hopeful as he tells Garen that maybe Theo really came here to help them, and Theo is not happy that he is still using the word maybe even after all this. However, Garen doesn't believe what the frog has to say. He says that despite being the king of the jewel frogs, he is still sitting helplessly and recovering from the poison of the purple locusts. And it makes no sense for a tiny cat to be able to fight against those monstrous bugs. Well, Theo has the answer to his doubt and the solution to his problem packed in one item, and he immediately begins searching his bundle for it. He pulls out a roasted purple locust stuffed with green onion from his bundle, and proudly tells Garen that he will be perfectly fine if he eats it. The jewel frogs are confused and curious about the weird food item, but Garen is quite impatient. As Theo explains that it is thanks to the detoxifying green onion stuffed inside the purple locust that its poison has been nullified, Garen doesn't let him complete the explanation. Instead, he just grabs the roasted locust with his tongue and swallows it whole in one bite, saying that it smells delicious. Theo is taken aback because he was not expecting the king of jewel frogs to have an enormous tongue, but he calms down quickly as well. The frogs, on the other hand, start panicking because they have not yet verified the properties of the roasted locust. They tell Garen that he shouldn't just eat anything that smells nice. But first of all, Garen is the king, and he can do whatever he wants. And second of all, they are too late to warn him. He swallows the roasted locust, and then suddenly, unforeseen changes start taking place in his body. Garen starts acting weird and saying things like, his body feels weird, which makes his subordinates panic even harder. They fear that something is wrong with their king, and then suddenly, Garen starts glowing so brightly that everyone is temporarily blinded by his glow. As the glow ends, Garen declares that his body feels refreshed, and he returns to his normal self as the effects of the poison are washed off. Now he is a giant but adorable jewel frog who doesn't look like he could get angry even if he wanted to. He is still drooling after tasting the roasted locust and asks Theo what that super delicious dish was. He feels that the toxins inside his body are completely gone and asks Theo if he has any more of it left. Theo smirks on seeing that the situation is completely under his control now, and he says that it was a good thing that he kept a few extra pieces with him just in case. He finds that everything is in his favor now, which is how it always works out because our little orange cat is probably the author's favorite character. He confidently approaches Garen, asking if he is ready to make a deal with him now. On the other hand, the lizard men warriors are fighting against the purple locusts near the waypoint. Their leader, Tamuro, fights bravely against the locusts, but despite wearing a mask and eating the detoxifying green onion, the poison starts building up in his body and damaging him. He starts coughing and wheezing in front of the horde of the locusts, and his followers are worried about him. They wonder why the number of the locusts is not decreasing at all, and as the other mercenaries and warriors bring detoxifying green onions for the frontline fighters, they reveal that they are running out of the green onions. Tamuro begins to lose hope and wonders if this is the end for him and the entire 67th floor. However, hope comes to him immediately, and in a form that he would not have expected. It is Garen, who uses his long tongue to scoop up a huge number of purple locusts, and then swallows them all in one gulp. Tamuro can only watch this scene dumbfounded, and he is aghast when he sees Garen enjoying the flavor of the purple locusts. His followers are equally puzzled, but Garen is not done yet. He starts swinging his tongue around in the air and catching purple locusts with it at the rate of hundreds of locusts per second. Tamuro is so shocked at the Frog King eating tens of thousands of locusts at once that he has to pull his mask down to ask Garen who he is. Garen proudly introduces himself as the King of Jewel Frogs and the Master of the Navia Swamp. But his introduction is not yet complete, and Theo pops out of his back to finish the last part. He says that Garen is also his subordinate now and proudly displays the contract they both just signed a while back. The other jewel frogs are there as well, and they are not sure if it is the right thing for Garen to become a cat's subordinate. However, since Theo saved Garen's life, they think that they don't have any say in their contract. Meanwhile, Theo tells Garen to charge ahead and eat to his heart's content. Well, Garen would have done that even without being told, and he wreaks havoc on the locusts, who are the ones known to eat everything in their way. At the same time, Sejun and others wake up in the dimensional storage, and they wonder where Theo went. However, everyone is equally asleep and clueless, and half of them can't even be bothered to think about the cat merchant. Once everyone is fully awake and in their senses, their attitude changes as they realize how serious the situation is. Sejun checks that everyone is ready with their weapons and tells them that they need to head out to find Theo immediately. Piu Piu is more curious than worried about where Theo could have gone out in the middle of the night all by himself. Iona is quite worried because she knows that the swamp must be swarming with locusts right now, and Sejun agrees with her, saying that they need to find Theo quickly before the locusts get to him. Even in this tense situation, our Simplord is still not done with his simping. He tells Piu Piu that no matter what happens, he will protect her, and she smiles brightly as she thanks him. Well, the black rabbit starts blushing on seeing her smile even though he knows that it is time to get serious. Sejun then tells everyone to get ready because he is going to open the door and they are sure to find a horde of locusts waiting for them. He opens the door and the entire group rushes out like they are the Avengers going to fight Thanos and his army, but they are shocked when they find nothing there. The place is more empty than my DMs, and everyone begins scouting the area around them to see if there is any danger at all. Sejun can't believe that the area around their base is still safe, but then the black rabbit uses his sharp senses to find that they are not as alone as it seems. He focuses a bit and alerts everyone that something huge is heading towards them. Sejun is shocked to hear that, and soon what the black rabbit felt becomes evident to everyone. As the ground rumbles rhythmically, Piu Piu fears that they might be facing a new variety of the locusts that is really gigantic. Iona doesn't think that they are going to face a new breed of the locusts now, but she can't deny the possibility that whatever is coming towards them is an enemy. Sejun draws his weapons and tells everyone to be ready as well, and just then, Garen appears there, leaping towards them. Everyone gapes at him with their jaws wide open as the shadow of the gigantic frog covers them, and Sejun can't help but ask what the thing blocking their view of the sky is. With that, Garen lands on the swamp like he is auditioning for the next Spider-Man movie. The splash he causes pushes everyone back, and while Sejun only makes a funny face, the rabbits are literally blown away by the sudden wave and winds. While Piu Piu is checking up on her fallen knight, everyone stares at the giant frog in confusion, but luckily, Theo is there to explain everything to everyone. He confidently asks Sejun and others if they were out in the swamps waiting for him. Sejun and Iona are surprised to see that Theo is okay, and he tells them that he is perfectly fine, and he even expanded their workforce while he was away. He introduces them to his new subordinate, Garen, and Sejun is taken aback on hearing that. Theo explains that thanks to Garen's huge tongue and even huger appetite, they wiped out a ton of purple locusts. In the meantime, Garen has also noticed the crest of the black dragon on Sejun's arm and the special energy releasing from his body. He thanks Sejun, saying that he and the other jewel frogs were able to get rid of the purple locusts because of the roasted locusts that he cooked. Sejun is a bit confused on seeing the frogs and asks Iona if these frogs are different from the ones they faced on the 75th floor. Iona tells him that these are the jewel frogs, the exact species that they need to protect on their mission. She says that Garen is the king of the jewel frogs, and Theo turned him into his subordinate within a night, all by himself. She starts giggling and asks Theo just who he is, but Theo has other things on his mind. He asks Sejun if he did a good job this time, and Sejun affirms before asking how he did it. Instead of explaining how the god of plot armor favored him again, Theo clings to Sejun's leg and asks him to give him his treats as a reward for his good job. Sejun can't refuse the gleaming innocent eyes of the yellow cat and decides to go inside to relax and talk. He then notices the jewel frogs waiting for him to say something, and on seeing the huge frame of Garen standing in front of the door to the dimensional storage, he realizes that some people will be left out. He tells Garen that he would love to invite him into the dimensional storage as well, but the door is too small for even his arm to enter fully. Well, Garen tells him that if that is the only problem, he has an easy solution for that. He activates the power of the jewel on his forehead and starts glowing really brightly, blinding Sejun and Theo, and when the bright light recedes, Garen has turned into a tiny and even cuter version of himself. Everyone is shocked to see that the giant frog is now the same size as Iona. and they ask if he could always shrink to this size. Garen tells them that it is not a big deal for him, and Seijun is glad that now no one will be left out from dinner and discussion. He invites the frogs inside, but once everyone is inside the cozy atmosphere of the dimension storage, Iona starts lecturing Theo. She asks him if he has any idea how scared and worried she was for him. She wants to know where he vanished to in the middle of the night in this dangerous swamp. But Theo casually enjoys his churros as he tells the worried hamster that nothing happened. He decides to keep the incidents of the night a secret because he knows that if Iona finds out that he was kidnapped and waterboarded, she would be really angry. On the other hand, Seijun is done preparing dinner for everyone with Kwang by his side. Iona and Theo lose focus on their discussion as they hear Seijun announcing that dinner is ready. They gather around to see what he has cooked and find that today's menu is a brightly colored purple locust potato soup that contains thinly sliced purple locust meat, detoxifying green onion, and strong potatoes. Their harmonious blend improves the effects of all the crops. The detoxifying green onion eliminates the toxins in the locust meat and makes it tender and easier to digest. It also improves the shelf life of the dish. The strength potato and red locust meat improve the strength of the consumer by 5 points for 30 minutes, while filling the stomach completely for the next 4 hours. It also gives low-level poison resistance and is a C+ grade food item with an expiry date of 30 days. Seijun tells everyone to line up and get their share, and the frogs join the queue obediently as they are new there. Meanwhile, Kwang and others already have their bowls filled, and they start eating without waiting for everyone to get their first serving. As everyone enjoys the soup, the frogs wonder how such a delicious thing can exist. They think that the detoxifying green onion tastes the best on top of being the most important part of the dish. Earlier, their skin used to melt just by touching a red locust because of its poison, but the green onion is nullifying the poison of the purple locust completely. Garen thanks Seijun again, saying that, as expected of the black dragon, they can fight the purple locusts after eating the food he cooks. Seijun calmly tells him and everyone else to eat their fill because they are going to head out again and defeat the remaining locusts in the swamp. Well, the jewel frogs seem a bit too greedy right from the start, and one of them says that it is a bittersweet feeling that they need to eliminate the locusts now. He knows that it is the most important thing they need to do, but he is already missing the delicious flavor of the purple locust soup. Seijun hears his worries and tells him that he already has a solution for that. He tells the frogs that he has something to show them and asks everyone to follow him. He leads them to a door in the hall, and even Theo is curious about what is behind it, because it was not opened the last time he was in this place. Seijun tells him that he asked Iona to create a special space in the dimensional storage and then opens the door, letting free a cold gust. Inside the room, purple locusts are frozen in ice cubes that are stacked on top of each other. Seijun proudly tells everyone that this is a freezer, and Iona continues the explanation. She says that initially she froze the purple locusts so that the magic tower could do research on them later, but it is fine to use a little bit of their sample for food. Meanwhile, Kwang has already started sneezing because of the cold, and even Theo is shivering because of the cold. Garen has become lazy and sleepy because of the cold because the author knows science and the fact that frogs are cold-blooded animals, and they lose energy if the outside temperature falls. One jewel frog asks Seijun if freezing the locusts will make them taste even better. Seijun realizes that none of them are familiar with the concept of cold storage, so he explains to them how things work on Earth. He says that keeping things in the cold prevents them from rotting, and they can store them for a long time to eat them. He then thanks Iona for creating this huge magical freezer, and the little hamster in his hand is quite proud of it too. She puffs her chest with joy as she declares that it is not an easy task to create a semi-permanent freezing magic circle over the entire room. The frogs begin to understand cold storage now, and they ask Seijun to freeze the detoxifying green onion too because it would be a waste to let something so precious rot away. Seijun tells them that the green onions are fine because he can farm them whenever he wants. The frog is curious about the new term and asks Sejun what farming is. Sejun realizes that the jewel frogs wouldn't even know about farming because they live in a swamp. However, as he starts explaining things to them, he suddenly gets an idea about how to handle the situation better. Meanwhile, the cold storage room is a complete chaos, with Garen falling asleep and the cold being too much for Theo to bear. Kuang, on the other hand, tried licking the ice and got his tongue stuck to it. And maybe you should Google how people remove their skin from cold metal in really cold areas like the North Pole. Sejun keeps staring at the chaotic scene silently, and Iona asks him what he is thinking. He happily tells her that he just came up with a great idea that can help him out in more ways than one. At the same time, Aileen is busy in her administrative space, looking for something she can do while Sejun is away. She is browsing through books and throwing them away like my girlfriend when she doesn't know what she wants to order. Aileen is looking for the perfect gift to give to Sejun as the tower middle manager that can help him out the most in dangerous scenarios. Suddenly, she comes across a book with the perfect thing for Sejun. She stares at the glowing silhouette on the book, and her eyes gleam in excitement as she thinks that there can't be anything better right now. She hugs the book while thinking of Sejun and saying that he has to return safely to her at any cost. That's all for this video. Sejun is just resuming his journey as the tower farmer, and it seems that he is already on the cusp of solving the problem of the purple locusts on the 67th floor. What is his new plan that can help him out even more? And what will he do once he gets back to the 99th floor? There are many more questions we have in our minds, but we can find out the answers only in the next part. So stay tuned and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that.